Forgot how hard it is to accomplish anything in this game. Just spent 20 minutes talking to people. We've got a job to do. Have we been this way? Spider Shen, you're the adept merchant, right? Hello? Despite the wind and rain pelting Hioi, the proprietor of this stall, a monk judging by their outfit, is unconcerned. The monk's expression is indifferent, though hardly placid or serene. Muscles show his tightly wound metal bands beneath the skin, ready to snap in any direction without warning. What's more, the monk's robes are anything but ordinary. Certainly silk makes up the base outfit, but it's paired with high-impact ballistic armor, heavy-duty boots, and a bandolier of throwing knives. The table in front of you is arrayed with a wide variety of melee weapons, charms, jade pendants, and other mystical accoutrements. Beneath an awning in the rear are rows upon rows of cages, each housing some variety of exotic reptile or insect. These in turn are flanked by jars and boxes of Chinese herbs, incense, powders, and inks. The monk spares you only the shortest of glances as you approach. I am Monk Shen. Most people here in Hioi call me Spider Shen on account of the spiders back there. You're not local, not by a long shot. What about it? Shen shrugs and swings an open palm across the table in front of you. So you probably have more reason to buy something than my neighbors, and I'm here to sell, so that's good. Swords, knives, clubs, I sell it all. I make most of these, but if I can't, I've got friends who can. If you need incense or salves for meditation, I make and sell those too. And if your joints ache, I can give you acupuncture. Shen places both palms on the table, leaning over it towards you with a wicked grin. So what can I show you? You sell snakes and spiders? No, they're mine. I can sell you the things I craft with my hands or the things I can do. But the medicines and poisons I make are my secret. You'd want those, you apprentice to me. In 5 years, maybe I show you how to make a poultice, eh? They're that secret? Of course they're secret. These are what set me apart from the rest of the street dealers in Hioi. You want Kramer Bliss, any 2-bit triad punk can make that for you. But I can realign your ki, set your yin and yang in balance, or set somebody else's out of balance with a few drops. To master my skills, you need to learn for years. It's not just following a formula. You want to learn, you need patience. You try to learn without patience, all you do is ape the masters. Shen snaps 2 fingers and points at the cages. You have to understand them to truly learn my art. Otherwise, you never become a master. Might as well get a skill soft. You're a monk and a weapons dealer? Yeah. Where else would the ancient masters have gotten their legendary swords and spears? Down at the mall? I was at Wudang Mountain for 15 years before coming back to Hong Kong. I've been practicing Xingyi Quan all my entire life. It's how I learned the herbs as well as the forms. It just so happens I'm good in a forge too. That's why what you buy here is better than most other people's. What is that thing you said? The 5-element fist style. Water grows wood, which burns to become fire. Fire becomes ash and earth, which condenses into metal, etc. The form cycles the 5 elements, and opposing elements block each other. A water fist will break a wooden defense, but a water block will extinguish fire. Should one use a water interception on a metal fist, however, water will be smashed apart. Direct, simple, powerful. Not so elegant as Bajiquan or Tai Chi, but much more powerful. Shen pulls a tarp away from a nearby lump. The object beneath the tarp is revealed as the door to an Ares City Master armored personnel carrier. It's been caved inward by a massive amount of force, and in the dead center of the door is an indentation to which Shen's fist would fit perfectly. Power comes from focus, and focus comes from practice and meditation. Xingyi Quan produces more power than most other forms of Kung Fu, and applies it in a highly focused way. Let's talk about something else. Let me see your shit. Katana, machete, street monk? Monk magic, throwing knives, a spiked fist. Neat. Goodbye. Where is that subway? You know, I'd talk to you, weapon merchant, but we've already spent enough time talking. Head to Whampoa Garden to discover who's killing the Whampoan elders. Off we go. In addition to your team, yep, we're going to take Duncan. Security specialist. Hello? Who, what? Hello? Oh, these ones cost money. Well, fuck these guys. El Deuce. No, sir. You're about to travel to Whampoa Garden. I can still hire more runners. Oh, Jesus. I'll bring fucking what's-her-face then. The price is right. Confirm. Whampoa Garden, a carnival of chrome and neon, rife with every manner of technology and artifice one can imagine. The entire area has the feel of a night market, save that chips are sold in lieu of steamed buns, and vendors hawk the latest drones rather than folk art. Something stalks these streets, hiding just out of sight. It stalks the Whampoan elders, the leaders of the band of tech-savvy squatters that have claimed this neighborhood as their own. The streets smell of ozone and fear, and those Whampoans you pass on the MTR station have a haunted, furtive look in their eye, while the killer has struck only at the elders thus far. It may only be a matter of time before ordinary residents are menaced as well. Oh, confirm. Who cares about that? The streets of Whampoa Garden are slick with rain, glittering under the neon glow of myriad signs and holographic displays. The sky reflects the same glow, painting the white apartment blocks the sickly orange of sodium streetlights. The smell of grilling meat mingles with other rarer scents, ozone, engine oil, and high-tech fabrication facilities. Despite the hour, there are plenty of people out and about. You can hear the calls of street vendors and touts, urging people into their stores. Isabelle wrinkles her nose, scowling darkly. She wraps her arms tightly around her chest, staring off into the distance. Is there a word for feeling nostalgic for a place you can't wait to leave again? I don't miss this place, but I miss the feelings I had when I lived here. SWAT aid, maybe? No, that's not it. It's close, but... She lets the sentence trail off into nothingness, clamping her mouth shut for a moment. Isabelle sighs heavily. This place seemed like heaven after the walled city, like the whole world had unfurled in front of me, and anywhere I turned was the promise of a good life. Turned out this place was just as crappy as everywhere else. Everyone was still in it for themselves. Gobbett claps a hand on Isabelle's shoulder, who flinches and pulls away. That's a great life lesson, Is. I'm serious. At the end of the day, life's a raw deal. You've got yourself and a handful of friends, and that's it. Nothing else. Duncan casts a sidelong glance at Isabelle and Gobbett, shaking his head. You got some strange ideas about life. Sure, life's a meat grinder, but come on, there's got to be more to life than just surviving. Does there? What makes you the authority on that? Isabelle waves a dismissive hand. I'm done talking about this. Anyway. Isabelle leans towards you and points down the street to your left. We're looking for the Whampoan elders. They're going to be in the Whampoa itself. That's the big ship down the street. That's the mall shaped like a boat, right? That's the one. Somebody thought it would be clever to make a uniquely shaped mall. Okay. Well, we're not a Decker, so all sorts of shit that we don't care about. I heard he's not dead. He's just been cut all up. The elders don't want anyone to go inside without the permission. It must be pretty bad in there. Well, that was a brief screen. That's it. This is the whole screen. What we got going on over here? All right, not the biggest place. Hello, sir. These guys probably talk to us once we go introduce ourselves to the elders. That was quick. This orc woman is festooned with small circuits, tiny trid screens and speakers. The trid screens display snippets of trid broadcasts from every corner of the world. The tiny speakers play counterpoint with a susurrus of voices speaking Sparathil, Punjabi, Kazank, and other languages. Her expression is haggard, and she fidgets with her fingers as you approach. Welcome! Welcome to the Whampoa, my friend. I am Elder Ing, and these are Elders Tang and Ip. Fuck off with these goofy names. Ing gestures to the elf and human, who each incline their heads respectfully. Thank you so much for answering our request for help. We had nowhere else to turn. It's the least I could do. Under Tang's skin, glowing tattoos writhe and change shape. Tigers become cranes and move on to dragons. We're under threat. One by one, we elders are being hunted by some monster. As you may have noticed when you arrived, there's been another killing just tonight. Ip crosses his solid chrome arms. Holographic readouts dance constantly over their surface, displaying diagnostic information about their state, operating temperature, servo pressure, and a variety of other minutiae. He looks past you towards Isabelle. The prodigal daughter returned once more. I didn't expect to see you back around the Whampoa in my lifetime, Isabelle. When you disappeared, Elder Yatunda was very put out. I'm glad you're still alive. When you chose to walk your own path, I was disappointed, but I still understood why you had to leave. He pauses, tasting the air as he chooses his next words with care. I hope my lessons have helped you prosper. Don't expect to be back either. Work takes you places, though. Isabelle shrugs. A moment later, she places a hand on her pistol, eyes trained on Ip's shoes. I don't cart this around for fun, Ip. The lessons kept me alive. Isabelle blinks several times, then looks up at Ing. Her expression clouded. Where is Yatund anyway? I expected her to be here. She shakes her head sadly. She reaches out a hand towards Isabelle, who shrinks away from it. She's dead. So are Gon and Nakamura. And Tong was killed just tonight. So much blood. You have to stop this from continuing. Isabelle's expression remains impassive, but her knuckles grow white as her hands ball up into fists. That's what we're here for. We'll stop the killings. Thank you, Isabelle. What can you tell me about the murders? They started 2 weeks ago. The first to go was Gan. We found him in his apartment, eviscerated. He swallows, grimacing at the painful memory. He'd been torn apart. His head had been ripped completely off, and most of his skin flayed away. There was so much blood it took us a week to clean out his apartment. Tang nods, running his palm over his forehead. The rest have been the same. Always at night, always dismembered. Each scene is like a nightmare. And each time, nobody's seen anything. It's like a ghost. What happened to Tong? Same thing that happened to the rest of the victims. Evisceration, dismemberment. We sent a guard to keep people out of his shop, but he'll let you in. When did he die? Sometime early tonight. He locked up his shop, but Ip stopped by to ask him about some skill chips he had. The door was unlocked, and inside... She raises her hands helplessly. She opens her mouth, but no words come out. Seeing her inability to continue, Ip takes over. Inside looked like a bad horror sim, just like all the other murders. It had to have happened after sundown because I saw a shop was open when I was on my way to get some noodles for dinner. Why didn't you call the police? The Hong Kong police force isn't welcome here. They've tried to force us out several times before, or come hunting for someone to put a crime on. We do a lot of favors for local gangs and triads, handle their matrix security, fix up their gear, and make sure they have access to the Hong Kong Shadowlands hub. We're too valuable a resource for them to lose, so they protect us when the HKPF or anyone else decides we're an easy target. They handle our physical security, and we make sure to send the message via the Matrix. The last time the HKPF made trouble, we started airing the assistant chief's dirty laundry over the Trid. They got the picture and backed off. Have you made any enemies lately? Not that I can think of. We keep to ourselves. We buy and sell technology. We're not mercenaries or criminals. We're merchants and deckers. Even if someone was cheated in a deal, this kind of response is unthinkable. Whoever did this, it wasn't human. The violence and savagery, it's a monster, whatever it is. Plenty of metahumans are monsters too. Just because it's horrible doesn't mean it's supernatural. What do you guys do? Isabelle snorts derisively. They make the rules and kick people out who don't obey them. They're a bunch of petty tyrants, that's what. You're being unfair, Isabelle. Our laws are for the good of the community. Tang turns to address you. We keep the Whampoa and its residents safe. We review trade agreements with outsiders to see if they're good for the community. We provide a guiding vision like a town council. I can respect that. I'm glad you understand. This community is fragile, and the authorities bear us a lot of ill will. A single misstep could spell our end. I am the invoker of sprites. I commune with the spirits of machines, ask them for blessings, and pass those blessings on to the people here. I heal the sick and ensure the feng shui of our habitats is as good as it can be given our confines. She's a shaman, that's all. She's just got some kooky spin on it. Claims her totem is some kind of all-encompassing machine god that lives in circuitry. Isabelle pats her deck. Ancient gods and ancestors are one thing. My deck, it's mine. I built it. The only spirit it's got in it are the ESPs I loaded up with. Just because you cannot see or touch a thing does not mean that it does not exist. Just because you don't believe in it doesn't mean that it doesn't protect you from afar. I can't touch programs either, but at least I can prove they have an effect on the physical world. Your superstitions are just that, bullshit. Isabelle glances at you, jerking a thumb towards Tang. This guy treats drones like they're living things. What do you do, Tang? Tang extends his arms, palms up. As you watch, the tattoos therein shift into a complex mathematical formula. I am the first and glorious servo. I study patterns, repair machinery, and teach others how to attune themselves to the wonders of automation. The blessed Autofab is my shop and purview, where we make the drones we use and sell. As for me, I serve as the resplendent voltage spike. Ip smiles crookedly. That means I shoot people who try to screw with us. It's a fancy title for a head of security. That's all for now. It might be wise to ask the residents of Whampoa Garden if they've seen or heard anything after you've gone to Tong's Sensory Carnival. They may have seen or heard things we have not. Good to know. Thank you. I'll just be going inside now. Porter Lamb at your service. The elders told me that you'd be coming. They told you what happened to Tom? Just the basics. Well, nothing's basic about this. I've seen people shot, stabbed, beat to death. Hell, I've even seen a corpse that was so dry and desiccated I could have sworn a vampire got to it. None of that's got anything on this. Brace yourself and go on in. Okie dokie. Tong's Sensory Carnival looks like a scene out of a B-grade slasher sim. The cloying scent of incense hangs thick and pungent in the air, emanating from the small shrine in the corner of the shop. Unfortunately, it does nothing to cover up the reek of death and clotted blood. Despite the ragged remnants of Elder Tong littering the floor, the rest of the shop appears to be in good order. At least at first glance, nothing is broken, tipped over, or otherwise ransacked. As you're about to step further into the room, you glance at the ceilings and walls. The blood from Tong's body isn't just confined to where his remains lie. Drying blood is spread about the walls and ceiling as well. Interesting. Is that a clue I see over there? Tong's body. Tong's body is a ruined mess. The destroyed ruin of his face is barely recognizable, and what's left of his body would be best described as savaged. All of his limbs have been torn off, and a pile of flayed skin lays next to the remnants of the Whampoan elder. The Whampoan's clothing has all but been reduced to rags and tissue by cuts and tears, apparently sustained during the flaying. At this point, the only thing holding what's left of his body to a semblance of human form is the hair-thin fiber optics of his cyberware. Gobbett puts a hand over her mouth, speaking in an uncharacteristically serious tone. Sweet heavens, Stubtoe Williams. I haven't seen anything like that since Auntie Wong tried to stash some cred sticks in a devil's rat's nest. It takes a lot to turn my stomach, but we have a winner today. This is seriously messed up. I'll second that. This isn't a murder. This is more like, I don't know, a feeding frenzy. If it weren't for the skin, I'd say Tong stepped on a goddamn mine or something. I'll use astral perception. Everyone stand back. Taking a deep breath, you allow your senses to expand into astral space. The colors of the room bleed away, replaced with the vibrant lights and emotions of the spirit world. Surprisingly, no emotions of fear or anger pervade the room. The abiding emotion of the room is steeped in is one of perfunctory satisfaction, as if someone had accomplished an important task. It would seem likely that Tong was surprised. If he was not, it would be certain that you would feel lingering fear within the room. Whoa, really? Gobbett takes a moment to center herself and stares off into space. Shortly thereafter, she shakes her head and looks back to you. That's strange, Stubtoe Williams. You're right, though. He definitely didn't see it coming. Leave the body alone. What's this? Bloody wall? The walls are covered in splattered and smeared blood, most of which is hardened into a crusty, congealed paste. Thick tracks of it run laterally. It looks like blood has been deliberately smeared. Hey, Stubtoe Williams. I don't know a whole lot about science or all that, but I know what blood looks like when it hits a wall. This isn't natural. Somebody deliberately smeared blood all over these walls. See how it looks like it's got paint trails? That's because somebody used Tong parts like a brush. So they painted his walls with blood? Why? Do I look like a psychologist to you? Maybe because they're a freak. Maybe they're one of those sick serial killers that sees their murders as art. I got no clue. All I know is what normal blood looks like on a wall, and this ain't it. Some people have a bad grasp of art. I knew this guy in Kwantung who used to make music out of stray radio static and panic button calls. Called it Crisis Wave. It was awful. Excellent contribution, Isabelle. What's this? Tong's desk drawers are open, and the safe that's built into one side has been opened. There's no sign of tampering, and the green light next to the word unlocked is blinking. Whoever opened the safe did it with a key fob. Inside are several blank cred sticks, but no sign of any money on them. Looks like someone looted his stash. A guy like this wouldn't keep only empty cred sticks in his safe. Bathroom? Tong's bathroom is immaculate, and the drains are tiny. Whatever killed him didn't exit through here. Simpsons Editor. This is a Yamaha 95000V SimSynth, a device for mixing and mastering Simpsons chips. Several drive bays are empty, and all of the chip jacks are empty. The screen is flashing a repeated error message. Warning, requested files cannot be found. Please return drives to bay and try again. Isabelle, figure this shit out. Isabelle rattles out some commands on the SimSynth's keyboard, stepping away after a few seconds with a look of satisfaction on her face. There, I've put the drive warning on suspend. It's in diagnostic mode only, though. Maybe we'll learn something, maybe not. Yamaha SimOS 5.23 system diagnostic check. Memory okay, drive okay? Oh, sorry, drive error. Assist bus okay. Beginning core dump, please wait. Isabelle studies the screen in detail as letters and numbers scroll by. Looks like Tong was cooking some BTLs here. He's hacked the peak controller output cutoffs. The delta levels on sim chips are usually about 4 to 5. 6.5 for Cal Hots. His delta peaks are pushing 12. That's brain-burning territory, Stubtoe Williams. And all the drives and chips those BTLs were stored on are missing. I never liked Tong, but it wasn't because he was a bad guy. I just didn't like any of the elders. But if he was cooking chips at Delta 12, maybe he burned somebody he shouldn't have. Maybe they flipped their lid and came after him, or a relative did. Isabelle gives you a serious look, tipping her head at the synth. The metahuman brain can't handle this kind of output. It'll shut down after a few of those. Well, we've got all our clues. Zippy? What do you got for me? This orc is busily snacking on a steamed bun. As you approach, he wipes off one of his hands and sticks it out towards you. Hey, stranger, nice to see you. Zippy toe tag at your service. How you liking Whampoa Garden? I'm Stubtoe Williams. Nice to meet you, Zippy. Nice to meet you, too. Listen, I know it's a little forward of me to just say hello and whatnot, but I'm interested in giving you a hand if I can. Zippy gestures expansively at the squalid, neon-lit streets of Whampoa Garden. This is my home, at least for the time being, and I'd like to stop these killings. We've never met before this, but I know exactly who you are. You're my replacement. The elders had me autopsy what was left of Elder Gan and Elder Nakamura after they got ripped apart, but I didn't want to dig any deeper. So since I don't know you and I can smell a Shadowrunner a mile away, you've got to be the outsider they asked to stop the killings, right? That's right. See, I have good eyes. A lot of good eyes, actually, if you're in the market for replacements. Only slightly used, and they only come from certified donors, I swear. A hearty belly laugh erupts from the orc, and he slaps one of his thighs in elation. Man, I'd kill myself. You stand-up comedian? With jokes like that, are you kidding me? I'm one of the only trained surgeons around here. I keep the other Whampoans healthy. Gotta practice down the road. Blind Chen's a pretty good cyber doc, but he's basically an implant specialist, and that's it. How'd you end up here? I did my residency back in the UCAS. Could have become a real MD, too, if things hadn't gone south for unrelated reasons. Zippy opens his coat, revealing a cyber deck. He pats it proudly. I also deck a little, but I'm better at slicing skin than ice. Whampoa Garden seemed like a good fit for me. Must have a lot of customers. That's the chip truth. I have to charge to cover my costs and eat, but it's a damn near free service. There's always a waiting list, but it's good, honest work. I like helping my neighbors in the community. We all look out for each other. If somebody messes with one of us, they mess with all of us. That kind of community is rare as gold these days. How many places have an ethos like that? Not that damn corpse, that's for sure. I've lived a lot of places, done my fair share of shadowrunning, but this place is special. It's been a long time since I really felt like anywhere was a real home. Zippy looks off past you towards the Whampoa Garden streets. His expression grows wistful, like he's remembering something from a long time ago. I'm sure I'll move again, but not for a while. I'm not done with this city or these people. So it's fairly peaceful around here? For the most part, other than these killings, we don't have much by the way of problems. We do information security for the triads, and that makes us fairly impervious to anyone who wants to start trouble. Anyone starts something, we hit him in the matrix while our triad friends hit him in the meat space. Some small-time gangs have tried pushing in here before, but they backed off when they figured out they weren't just picking a fight with Tang and his guys, but with both Red Dragon and Yellow Lotus. They got the message real quick. What was left of them, anyways. Let me ask you about Whampoa Garden. What are your thoughts on the murders? There's a sharp intake of breath as Zippy shakes his head. Pretty gruesome business. Gon died from a broken neck. It looked like someone had wrenched it around, and his arms and legs were cut off. Some skin flayed away, too. Nakamura had his throat ripped out by someone with pretty sharp teeth. First I thought it was a devil rat, but the teeth marks were all from something with a humanoid jaw. I didn't look at you, Tund. From what I saw at a distance, it was the same story. Didn't seem much point, since I'd seen it twice already. As for Tong, from what Porter told me, it was Gan and Nakamura all over again. Take a look at him yet? Yeah, it's the same as you described the others. Zippy shakes his head sadly. I like Tong. The BTL business is unsavory, but the man had to eat, and his regular sims were great. Generally all-around nice guy. Friendly with everyone, never had anyone mad at him. There ain't no justice. You can tell me about the elders. Well, they're an eclectic bunch, that's for sure. Where to start? Aang's the spiritual leader around here. She's the voice of the Whampoans, I guess. A lot of her close friends are really more of followers, since she's something of a priest for the machine spirits. Maybe it's a cultural thing for people who grew up here, but it's never called to me. Still, she makes a damn fine pot of tea. Ip's the muscle, and he has an encyclopedic knowledge of cyber and Bioware. Definitely a good guy to have watching your back. Not too friendly, but you know how it is. You get a lot of cyber, people start wondering if you'll tear their arms off. Zippy makes a chopping gesture with one hand. He's got moves straight out of Blood Carnival 3, The Reckoning. Terrible movie. Great fight choreography. What about Tang? I don't know much about him, but I think he's got some kind of fetish for automation. Found him cooing over some trids of automated delivery drones in a warehouse once. He works with drones, has a shop called the Blessed Autofab. He was raving about the efficiency of the movement patterns or something. You already know about Tong. Ran Sims, BTL, skill chips. Gain used to be a city planner before he had a nervous breakdown and got involved in statistical analysis. Zippy paused to collect his thoughts. Nakamura came from Fukuoka. Was interested in entertainment, Trid mostly. Spent a lot of time analyzing subliminals and ads. Then there was Magpie. She was the chief decker, hot as hell against ice, and built her own hardware. Salty old woman, though. Never met anyone who was quite as shrill or nasty when she was mad. She was mad most of the time. No one mentioned Magpie to me. How'd she die? She didn't. Maybe a month ago, she just up and disappeared. I went to her shop one day and she just wasn't open. Nobody's seen her since. Kind of a pain in my ass, though, too. She owed me some new analyze software she'd picked up. I've never heard of Magpie either. She must be one of the newer Whampoans. If she was the decker, she would have replaced Elder Gao. No surprise there. Gao was older than some dudes, terracotta warriors. When I was learning decking from him, he could barely get out of bed. Still fast as hell in the Matrix, though. How can you be new and an elder? It's a stupid name. It doesn't actually have much to do with time spent in the community. That has something to do with it, sure, but it's mostly about how skilled you are, how good your connections are, and how much you can help everybody else. Should have called them experts or something. Bingo, that's exactly it. She was only here for about 3 years, but she knew a lot of people all over the place in the Matrix in Shanghai, Beijing, all kinds of places. That plus her skill meant she was a shoo-in when Gao died. Where do you think she went? No idea. One day she was here, the next, poof. First I thought she was just on vacation, since she had mentioned wanting to see the Kingdom of Hawaii one day. But it didn't feel right. She would have at least told me she was leaving. Seemed mighty suspicious to me. Nobody else seems to care what happened to her, probably because she pissed all of them off so bad. So anyway, I should start looking? You might want to check out her shop. It's all locked up, but the other elders have a spare key. Couldn't hurt to look around, and even though Magpie was always butting heads with the other elders, they wouldn't have any reason not to let you in? What do you mean they were butting heads? Magpie and the others never saw eye to eye. She was contrary for the sake of it. Most of the rest had a grand vision for what they wanted this neighborhood to become. Magpie just wanted a deck. She was only an elder because they needed someone with their Matrix chops. The last big argument was between her, Ing Ip, and Nakamura. It was over something relatively trivial. I think Nakamura wanted to expand the pirate trade business into the Matrix, and she just absolutely refused. Why'd she refuse? She said something about not using a valuable bandwidth for trivial entertainment bullshit. Anyway, it went from there into this rant about how she wasn't going to let Tang expand his drone business any further because it would get too much Megacorp attention. They accused her of blocking them just because she could, which is probably true. What do you mean blocking them? Everybody needs their Matrix skills for their business to run properly. There is other deckers, me, say, or Mo Nebi, but she had the infrastructure. If their project didn't interest her, she wouldn't have even given them the time of day. She's a real hardhead about having her time wasted, but she figures if she's not interested in something, it has no value objectively. Kind of a major blind spot, if you ask me. Sounds like she was critical. Yes and no, she was, but since she disappeared, Elder Ip's taking over running the Matrix infrastructure. He's not as good as she was, but his experience with drones makes him the best candidate. They wouldn't entrust something like that to anyone who wasn't an elder, so there you go. Well, see ya. Good talk. Get the key to Magpie Shop. That was a long fucking talk, actually.